past it, over the hill, a shadow of his former self? Not on your life. Gary Lineker of Spurs warming up for Poland in the best possible way. And this fella's not doing his World Cup prospects any harm either. Newell's the name, Italy's the aim. Well, Mike Newell, 7th of the season, 1 of 20 in the First Division today. Liverpool, the league's leaders and top scorers, had the afternoon off, so what better opportunity for Chelsea, Arsenal, Millwall, Everton to take over? Well, Chelsea and Arsenal blew it 0-0 at Stamford Bridge. So what of Everton? Well, if Liverpool could beat Crystal Palace 9-0, Everton had to be optimistic prior to this afternoon's game at Selhurst Park. Martin Tyler.
That 9-0 nightmare at Anfield has subsequently produced a real show of character by Crystal Palace. Everton's Colin Harvey admitted Palace were hungrier for the ball in the first half. Ian Wright arriving undetected, his 5th goal of the season after 27 minutes. 10 more minutes, 2-0 for Alan Pardew, a late entrant into the ranks of league professionals. A great moment, his first goal in Division 1. Everton stormed back in the second half, Mike Newell scoring for the 5th game in a row. Palace then under siege, but they held out 2-1.
Millwall, one of the strongest home sides in the First Division. Norwich, unquestionably, the best travellers. They haven't even conceded a goal away from home. Very slick move this, on the counter. Mark Bowen earned them a point last week at home to Spurs. He earned them 3 at the Den to end Millwall's unbeaten home run. Well, you really can't afford to do Liverpool any favours, and if the best of the rest couldn't topple them on an afternoon when Kenny's boys were playing golf, walking the dog or shopping with the missus, it makes you wonder if the championship race is going to be any sort of race at all. It's about time one or two others started to get their acts together. There's plenty of time.
The White Hart Lane crowd were treated to the real Gary Lineker. Paul Stewart and Paul Gascoigne, the supporting cast for his opening goal against Queen's Park Rangers. It was Lineker's first home goal for Spurs. It came with 32 minutes played. Naeem's return from pre-season injury, also valuable for Terry Venables. It was his cross, laid off by Stewart, but Lineker still had plenty to do. But he wriggled clear to beat David Seaman. 2 goals inside 6 minutes. Those early season uncertainties well behind him. But not behind Tottenham, who lost a 2-0 lead at Norwich last week. Rangers rocked them in the second half, Steve Sedgley unwittingly helping on the corner. The scorer, Rangers' latest signing, David Bardsley from Oxford. 2-1 now, and Trevor Francis, the player-manager, again leading by example. Francis with a low shot from a difficult angle. 2-2, 20 minutes left. But Trevor Francis, a hat-trick man himself last week, had to concede the day to Gary Lineker. Sedgley sending Naeem away. Gary Lineker already racing into the centre. Tottenham had won it with just 3 minutes remaining. The Barcelona connection rejoined here. Tottenham's first win since the opening day of the season. Lineker 3, Queen's Park Rangers 2.
There was a hint of caution in the air at Main Road prior to Luton's visit. Don't get carried away after last week's demolition of Manchester United. It was difficult not to after that brilliant opener by David Oldfield, his 4th in 3 games, giving City an early lead against his old club. Now, Luton's first opportunity to reply came after that clumsy challenge by Brightwell. Referee Roger Milford waving away the City protests. Ray Wegley is Luton's new penalty taker. Paul Cooper is City's old hand in goal, and a real specialist in this sort of situation. Reputation well and truly enhanced. Well, Luton, who haven't won away from home so far, got back into it 2 minutes before the break. Kingsley Black's trusty right foot. Having been brought down to earth, City were back in orbit seconds before the referee blew for half-time. Ian Bishop, a scorer against United a week ago, making it 2-1. Well, City clearly adjusting to life in the First Division now. Mel Machin resisted the temptation to recall Neil McNabb at the expense of Ian Brightwell, who repaid his manager's faith with the clincher right on the hour. 3-1 City.
September hasn't been successful for Nottingham Forest or for Charlton. For Forest, 1 point from 3 games, but when Charlton failed to close down Brian Laws, they paid the penalty. Steve Hodge was the architect of the second goal, a splendid run for Lee Chapman to secure the victory. After an excellent August, Charlton's record in September, 4 games, no goals, no points.
Wimbledon opened up at Southampton in typical fashion. Dead ball specialist Dennis Wise lobbing into the 6-yard box for one of the heavyweights, Eric Young. Now, Southampton hit back with a typical Wimbledon move, really. The old saying, it takes a thief to catch a thief, springs to mind. But Wimbledon hopelessly caught out down the middle, and by Matthew Le Tissier's superb balance, control and finish. But when it comes to the Como factor, there are no better exponents than Wimbledon. The position of maximum opportunity is the penalty area. In there, anything can happen. In this case, a touch of real class from Dennis Wise. But Southampton deserved the point because they dominated the second half. Matthew Le Tissier's up and under had everyone jumping about at the far post. Amidst the mayhem, a penalty was awarded. Now, Eric Young was adjudged to have fouled Alan Shearer, although Young never took his eye off the ball. Blatant is not a word you'd use to describe that incident. Le Tissier, 2-2, 5 without defeat for Southampton, Wimbledon's 5th draw.
Aston Villa emerged at the end of a difficult week for the club with 3 points at the expense of Derby County. David Platt got the better of the otherwise excellent Mark Bright to score the only goal in first-half stoppage time. Derby squandered several second-half chances to equalise. Villa had to go flat out to hold on.
Well, only 6 league goals so far this season for Derby, now just above Spurs and Manchester United.